Welcome, everyone. We are live with another episode of Level Up Law, where every Tuesday at noon, South Carolina Legal Services is leveling up your legal knowledge about a particular area of law that we practice in. I'm attorney Susan Ingalls here with our producer Kenneth Elliott in the background, and you are viewing live attorney Jenny Kaufmann in our Conway office. Jenny is our public benefits unit head for South Carolina Legal Services, and today she will be sharing information on pandemic payments and SSI, or supplemental security income. That's going to be really interesting subject matter, and we appreciate Jenny being here with us. But before we get started, we do want you to remember that this is not legal advice. It's just general information for the public. If you need the help of a lawyer, you can always call our intake line here at Legal Services or apply online, and that information is going to be provided for you at the end of today's presentation. Jenny will be taking any questions that you have at the end of the presentation. So just post those questions down in the question box that you see on your right, and she'll be glad to give any kind of general information that may help answer your questions. We will, as always, post a recording of today's episode on our YouTube channel, usually within 48 hours. And so you can always find a recording there if you miss something that is said in the live episode today. So please be sure to check out our YouTube channel. Go there and like and subscribe. If you think that you know of someone who may also find this presentation valuable, please do share it with them. We want as many people to get the information as possible. And also just check out our social media. All of the social media platforms we're on, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and so forth. You can find those connections on our website at www.sclegal.org. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and let Jenny Kaufmann take it away on pandemic payments and SSI.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Susie said, thank you for that introduction. I'm Jenny Kaufmann, and I do public benefits for South Carolina Legal Services out of the Conway office. One of the most important programs, and why isn't this? I'm sorry, I'm having a technical there we go. One of the most important programs that Social Security runs is the SSI, or Supplemental Security Income Program. It provides a set federal benefit rate for people who are aged, blind, and disabled, and who have low income and assets and don't have a strong enough work history to otherwise qualify for one of the other Social Security programs. The monthly benefit is set by federal law, and in 2021, that is $794 for a single person, or $1,191 for a couple. Again, this payment is set by federal law, not by the Social Security Administration. The program has existed since the early 70s, and it is utilized by a wide variety of people, from newborns all the way up to individuals in their 90s or older. So it's an important program. You have to have low income to qualify for SSI. And so what does that mean? What is income? Social Security says it's any item an individual receives in cash or in kind that can be used to meet his or her need for food or shelter. It also used to include clothing, but they dropped that quite a few years ago. The most common examples of income that we see are child support, in-kind support and maintenance, which is free rent or food, unearned income, more about that later, as well as earned income. There is also deemed income, and what that means is you aren't directly receiving the income, but rather one of your parents or a spouse has income that Social Security says is available to help you meet your needs. We're not going to discuss deemed income in this session. We're going to focus on unearned and earned income. Unearned income, some common examples are any other Social Security income that you might receive, such as SSDI, retirement benefits, or survivor benefits if you have a parent or spouse that is deceased. Retirement or disability benefits from some other source, say your time in the military, from an employer, or even some unions have benefits that can be paid to its members. Tribal payments that aren't otherwise exempt. The most common one is timber, and there are some payments for oil and other minerals that are on tribal lands. Gifts of cash. Most VA benefits are unearned income, and one of the most significant unearned income for the purposes of this talk are unemployment benefits. The way that unearned income affects an SSI benefit is you're given the first $20 as a disregard. It's supposedly, free money. And then you subtract any remaining income that you receive from the federal benefit rate. So if you get $200 a month, say in retirement income, you're going to take the $794, subtract $20, that's 700, leaves you with $774. Then you subtract the $200, so you're left with, say, $574 in SSI income in 2021. Please note that you only get to use the $20 disregard once. So if you have, say, you're getting royalties from a song you wrote, and you get retirement income from Social Security. Those are two types of unearned income, but you only get to take the $20 disregard for once. Earned income is usually W-2 wages or self-employment income. The rule is a little bit more complicated for earned income. When you have no other source of income other than wages or self-employment, you get the $20 disregard, and then you also get a $65 disregard. Whatever income you're left with is then divided by 2 to come up with the countable income that is going to reduce your federal benefit rate. Employment income or self-employment income is treated much more favorably than unearned income. When you have a mix of unearned and earned income, you only get to use the $20 once again. You then subtract the $65. You take the earned income, divide it by 2, combine the 2, and subtract it from the federal benefit rate. It's important that to know and understand that even if you are left with less than $10 of SSI benefit, they usually don't pay you that $10, but you remain eligible for Medicaid. So that's just an overview of how we count income for SSI purposes. Your income, though, for SSI may also be reduced for in-kind support and maintenance, child support, or deemed income from your parent or spouse. So if you see some numbers that you don't quite understand, when Social Security does the calculations for SSI, then you've got to think, do I have any of these types of income? So during the pandemic, the CARES Act, Congress passed the CARES Act and some other legislation that provided for payments to individuals to help offset the cost of loss of employment or loss of other income. In general, these are known as economic impact payments. Social Security really didn't know how to treat these parents initially. It was clear from the law that some of these payments were going to be exempt, but other payments were not quite as clear. They finally decided towards the end of August of 2021, early September, that these economic impact payments were going to be exempt from counting as income or as an asset if they were saved. A lot of people saved those payments to help pay their rent or other ongoing basic needs over time because some of the payments were quite large. So there's no time limit on these payments being excluded. It includes payments that were made by the IRS. Those were the ones that individuals got directly from the IRS. And they also have included unemployment insurance and the pandemic unemployment assistance. This was the major category that Social Security just really did not know how it was going to treat these benefits, and they went back and forth on how to treat the unemployment benefits. The key here is that you should make sure you keep any documents you receive showing where your payments came from, especially if they were pandemic related, because some people got them in paper checks, some people got them on cards, and some people had them deposited directly to their bank. There are also some people that didn't get them at all because of fraud. So SSA revised its policy and now has issued 2 emergency messages that tell their offices how they're supposed to be treating this income. And remember, some of the payments came over a year ago, and Social Security had already reduced SSI benefits because of the rules that were in place a year ago. If you want to find the emergency messages, just Google SSA EM and then either the number 20014 or 21050 and you'll get a link. I've also included a link at the end of this talk. So unemployment insurance pre-pandemic was treated as unearned income that reduced the monthly benefit of an SSI benefit for individuals dollar for dollar after the first $20. And you think, well, if you're employed and eligible for unemployment benefits, then how can you be disabled? You have to remember that SSI includes people who are aged. That means anybody over age 65, blind, or disabled. And some of those individuals may still have the ability to do some work, especially maybe 10 hours a month, for some extra money so that they can meet their basic needs. They aren't working at the level that most of us normally work at. And during the pandemic, there were PUA, the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. And those were more generous benefits that were paid to individuals who may not otherwise have been eligible for unemployment. So now Social Security has decided that all of these unemployment benefits are no longer counted as income, and they are not counted as a resource if you have managed to save those benefits over time. The pandemic period, however, is limited. It started in March of 2020 and ends no later than September of 2021. In South Carolina, the pandemic period for UI benefits ends in June of 2021. Probably some of the most significant individuals affected by this were parents and spouses whose income were deemed available to their children or spouse. And those individuals had their income reduced, the SSI individuals had their income reduced because of the deemed income from unemployment insurance benefits. There are other pandemic-related disaster assistance program. I have listed a number of them here. Some of the ones that are less well known is the COVID-19 funeral assistance. One of the more well-known ones is the Emergency Rental Assistance Fund. Those benefits used to be paid only directly to your landlord, but some programs are now paying it to the renters so that they can pay any back rent that they owe in order to stop an eviction. So if you get any of those funds, please be sure to keep the paperwork showing where that money came from. And here are some others that I don't think we saw a lot of in South Carolina. For example, the farm loan assistance for socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers, or tribal payments for corona relief funds. These programs are not pandemic related disaster assistance, so they can be counted as income. The child tax credits, however, they won't be counted as income in the month they are received, but they are only exempt for 12 months. And here the policies on these payments are also emergency messages, and I've provided the numbers and the PALM sites. Anybody who got increased wages, hazard duty pay, bonuses for working during the pandemic, those benefits are not excluded. So they are subject to the earned income rules, and as are some wage payments to employees under the Paycheck Protection Program and the Economic Injury Disaster Loans. There were some additional enhanced benefits during the pandemic. The LIHEAP program, which provides energy assistance, the Low Income Home Water Assistance Program, and a new program, the Emergency Broadband Benefit. Not income or a resource for SSI purposes. Now, XSA is supposed to take corrective action without you having to contact them and say, hey, you made a mistake, you took money that you shouldn't have, and I need you to refund it. They may also contact you, make sure it is really Social Security that's calling you and not a scammer. So, and also if you think your SSI was reduced, suspended, or terminated because of pandemic pandemic payments. I'm thinking of parents and spouses here. And SSA has not restored your benefits by the end of the year, call the field office that services your area. Please don't call the toll-free number because they're just going to have to refer you to your field office. The field offices are the ones who do the calculations for SSI. You can find their telephone number by going to ssa.gov and find an office. So here is where the link for where you will find the new policy. We're also going to post it to lawhelp.org under public benefits, along with a fact sheet that explains it better than I can do. And also just read the emergency message because it is the best source of information on this relief. Now, there are some important announcements. There's just 2 of them, but I didn't want to forget. SSA has already announced what the benefit rates for next year are going to be. SSI is going up from $791 to $841 for an individual and $1,261 for a couple. The Social Security benefits, retirement, survivors, and disability are going to increase by the largest amount in decades, 5.9%. However, they have not announced what the new rates are going to be for Medicare Part B. So we're going to have to wait for that. An important reminder for Medicare, open enrollment started on October 15th, 2021. It continues through December 7th, 2021. If you need help choosing the plan, please call your local area agency on aging. If you can't find the number for your area agency on aging office, call 800-868-9095 and ask for that number. They have volunteers that can help you go through the Medicare and Medicare Advantage plans in your area and help you find one that meets your needs. These individuals are not associated with any of the plans, and they do not charge for their services. Beware of scams. You should not have to pay for someone to help you find a Medicare plan that meets your healthcare needs. And you shouldn't be paying for something that you don't need or don't want. So if you have any questions, I don't see any. I know that this is a short presentation, but I wanted everybody to know that if your benefits, your SSI benefits were reduced because of pandemic payments, Social Security has decided that that really wasn't what they wanted to do, and that wasn't the purpose of those payments. So those reductions should not have happened. You may have been issued an overpayment notice and required to pay that money back, but it should be returned to you. If you have questions, any, Susie?
Jenny, it looks like we don't have any questions, and I think that's probably because you gave such a great detailed presentation with so much information, which I know comes from your wealth of experience in this area of law. So thank you so much for an excellent presentation on pandemic payments and SSI. I thought it was really important information, and you're right, people need to know that that wasn't the intent when the pandemic payment situation developed. So very good information, and thank you so much for doing that for us today. So now we want to share with everyone the information about how to get in touch with legal services. So if you are interested in getting a lawyer to help you on this or any other subject that we handle here at South Carolina Legal Services, please do call our telephone intake service. That's how we determine if you're eligible and you have a legal issue that we could possibly help with. We have great intake specialists who are standing by there Monday through Thursday from 9 to 6, but you can also apply online. And we even have a Level Up Law episode that gives you some tips on the best way to make sure that online application goes through. And here's just a great list of our resources, ways to stay connected so that you can get those resources besides these resources that we have in our video library on YouTube. And if you found this particular video helpful, we do want you to share it if you think, again, that someone else might find it helpful. I certainly found it to be very enlightening on this particular subject. We do want as many people as possible to get that information, so please be sure and share that. And while you're there, please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done that already. Obviously we always want you to like the video, but it's more important that you subscribe and sign up for notifications, because if you do that, you're going to know every time we upload a video, whether it's a Level Up Law video or some other type of video, because we do have awareness campaigns that we do in various months, whether it be veterans, which is this month, or domestic violence, which was last month. We have housing month coming up, consumer, and so forth. So there's an older Americans month. So there's always some really good information on that. But this particular episode will be on our Level Up Law playlist on YouTube, and that's where you can find it on our YouTube channel at SC Legal. So thanks again to Jenny Kaufmann, and be sure to tune in next week. We thank you, audience, but we always want you to come back for another Level Up Law episode, and those are every Tuesday at noon. And so join us next week on November 8th for another episode of Level Up Law. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. That concludes today's webinar.